Hi, I'm Grey Tiger, and today we continue our series where we examine unique mechanics for each of the races in Warhammer 2. Last week, we explored the Warriors of Chaos and discovered that they are somewhat lacking in mechanics. This week, we take a look at the malicious emos that are the Dark Elves, highlighting their race mechanics and those of individual lords. Let's start by looking at the systems available to the race as a whole. The first system, and the core of the Dark Elves economy, is that of slaves. These can be gained from battle and distributed among your settlements to manage public order. Slaves can also be used to perform the different rites, and in the case of Hellebrand, trigger the Death Knight bonuses. It is a very thematic system for Dark Elves, but I don't find it that enjoyable. It may just be that I don't know how to use it to its fullest potential. Well, how could we improve the system? I'm sure that there are a number of options, but I'd like to see additional ways of utilizing slaves, such as rushing buildings or having expendable units on the battlefield, much like the Skaven. The second mechanic is the rites, that were introduced with all of the Game 2 races. They allow you to gain bonuses for a limited period in exchange for gold or resources. In the case of the Dark Elves, slaves. I like the fact that different lords can have their own unique rights, though believe that some additions, like selecting extra rights as the campaign progresses, would be nice. While the right system is simple, I think that all races in the game should be updated to include it, and would like to see the Wood Elves get rights as part of their upcoming rework. Next up, we have the Martial Prowess battle mechanic, which is activated when you kill a set number of enemies in melee combat. This gives your troops some bonuses for a short time during the battle. It's a nice addition to represent the murderous aspects of the Dark Elves, though it would be great to have ways of extending or improving its effects in battle via technologies or character abilities in the campaign. Or perhaps even different lords could have unique bonuses to the Martial Prowess mechanic, much like the Greenskin Lords now have their own WAR bonuses. Well, those are the main mechanics unique to the Dark Elves, but what additional mechanics might we add? I have often thought that something that is based upon the elven gods might be worth exploring. It could be a system based upon a devotion resource, where the player can choose to put points into different gods for various benefits, but at the risk of angering other gods and incurring penalties. When you max out the points for a specific god, you may be able to unlock unique units, be gifted with unique magic items, or gain lord abilities in battle. Each of the different Dark Elf factions could have different ways of interacting with the system, whether that be increased bonuses from certain gods, bonuses in battle from a favoured god, or unique army abilities tied to the individual gods. We could also tie this into the slave system so that slaves could be sacrificed for additional bonuses with the more malevolent gods. I would love to see what new system you would add to the Dark Elves, or what modifications you would make to my suggestion. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, onto the individual lords. What systems do they have to offer? Let's start by looking at the Supreme Ruler of Naggaroth, Malekith, the Witch King. Now, as the Supreme Ruler, you would expect that Malekith would have a great mechanic, but instead, Malekith only has bonuses to loyalty and diplomatic relations with the Cult of Pleasure, and some negatives to loyalty of high-ranking lords and lower relations with the exiles of Nehek. This is quite disappointing, and surely there must be something in his lore that would be both thematic and suitably powerful. Perhaps we could introduce a mechanic based on the Black Council, where we allow the player to assign lords and heroes to the upper positions of the Obsidian Table. Different seats on the council could provide different benefits to the characters in those positions, and the faction as a whole could gain benefits based on the level of the characters assigned. You could have the ability to disappear members of the council, as mentioned in the lore, to gain their traits and bonuses from Malekith himself. Certain named characters could even give additional bonuses when assigned to the council, and possibly provide the faction or Malekith with unique battle abilities. To tie Malekith into the proposed devotion to the god system, I would give him bonuses in battle based on the god with which he has the highest level of devotion. I would also allow him to gain the unique devotion bonuses of any confederated lords. Our next lord is Morathi, the Hag Sorceress of Grond. Once again, she has no unique mechanics, just a few bonuses to diplomatic relations with other Dark Elf factions, reduced costs for heroes, and some cheaper buildings. She also has the ability to spread corruption. Well, what might we give her as a unique mechanic that fits her background? I think a system very similar to that of Clan Eshen's shadowy dealings would fit quite well, as Morathi's lore mentions how she works behind the scenes, twisting events to her favour. Having the ability to carry out acts of sabotage, assassinations, diplomatic intrigue, and trade manipulations on other factions to gain either bonuses on the campaign or to inflict penalties on opponents would be quite interesting. We could even go so far as to give Morathi the ability to sow the seeds of conflict among enemy factions that have had past conflicts or cultural differences. Morathi could interact with the devotion mechanic by having the ability to twist the penalties of certain gods and turn them to her advantage, or deflect them onto a targeted enemy faction. This could be quite powerful, as she gains all of the benefits but suffers few or none of the penalties from the devotion system. Our third lord is Helbron, the Blood Queen of Harganeth. Her faction was added as part of the Queen and the Crown DLC, and is the first of our factions which already has unique mechanics. The first of these is Death Knight, which gives Helbron bonuses as you gain slaves and triggers a blood voyage when you sacrifice them. The blood voyage spawns an AI army which is hell-bent on attacking Ulthuan, and you can gain money from the acts of murder and plunder that it performs. I have not played a game as Helbron yet, so I'm unsure what the best way to improve this mechanic would be, or if there even needs improving at all. Please share your thoughts on what changes could be made in the comment section below. Now, how would Helbron interact with the proposed devotion mechanic? I think that giving Helbron the ability to sacrifice slaves to the gods for greater bonuses for a short period after a death knight has been performed would be a good start. We could also allow her to bless the spawned blood voyage with the favour of a specific god to increase its effectiveness and as a result your rewards. We continue our look at the Dark Elves lords with Lokir Felhart, the Kraken Lord of Karon-Ka. Much like Malekith and Morathi, he does not have any significant unique mechanic, just some bonus effects that improve Corsairs, provide increased income from slave buildings, and also allow an additional black arc for each major port occupied. Since much of his lore deals with sailing the seas and raiding ports across the globe, we could possibly give him a mechanic that sees him needing to gain infamy by raiding and sacking ports on the map. Occupying a settlement would not provide infamy, so you would always need to have some targets available for raiding. As you gain infamy, you can unlock additional bonuses to your black arc, regiments of renown, and new abilities for your lords in battle. He could interact with the devotion mechanic by gaining bonuses with Malflan each time you sack a major port, and having access to additional tiers of bonuses with Malflan as he is such an important deity of the sea. Those bonuses could also grant access to effects that make it more treacherous for other races to travel overseas, by suffering increased attrition or having shorter movement range, thus making them easier targets for your faction to attack. Now, for our final Dark Elf Lord, Malus Darkblade, who was added to the game in the Shadow and the Blade DLC, and most certainly got the worst end of the deal, mechanics-wise. The first of his unique systems is the possession mechanic, where he is in a constant battle for his body and mind with a powerful demon, Zarkan. You suffer penalties, or gain bonuses, depending on the level of possession, and need to consume elixirs which cost increasing amounts of gold to maintain control. It sounds like an interesting concept, though I felt like I was constantly having to purchase elixirs, and the negatives seemed to outweigh the positives. Ultimately, I found the system more annoying than fun. The second, and more enjoyable for me, was Zarkan's Whispers, where Zarkan periodically gives you a target to kill or an action to perform, in order to gain unique rewards, though at times I found the targets to be quite distant and not worth the effort. Now, how could Malus be improved? Well, a rework of the possession mechanic is certainly in order. Anything to make it less annoying. What would you do to make the possession mechanic enjoyable? In regards to the proposed devotion mechanic, Malus could have some of the gods grant him more control over the demon at higher tiers, either reducing the penalty suffered or increasing the duration of elixirs. We could also have Zarkan's Whispers provide additional types of quests. Some may give additional devotion or increased bonuses from certain gods, while other quests may be in defiance of the gods, where you risk their wrath but gain the potential to gain powerful magical items. So, there we have it, an overview of the Dark Elves mechanics with a new devotion system for the race and extra mechanics for individual lords. What do you think of the ideas proposed? Anything I missed that needs attention or could be added? What's next? Well, I'm going to spend some time with the dwarves in preparation for next week's video, where I will not only look at their existing mechanics, but also look at a new mechanic for the race I'm currently working on. Until then, I'd like to thank you for joining me. If you're enjoying this series, or just like this video, why not comment below and subscribe to the channel. If you're on Twitter, you can follow me to see updates on my modding work and chat to me about mods you would like to see added to the game. I'm Grey Tiger, and I'll see you next time.